I saw this horrible article and statistics about suicide being on the rise in the medical profession. What's even more disturbing is that the factors that contribute to this state of mind can apply to so many other industries, and in fact do apply to so many other industries and professions. So I'll put those on the screen now. If you look at those factors, they literally apply to all of the other industries. And even in the industry that I belong to, the legal industry, I can categorically state that those factors do play a role in that industry as well, and why so many people are miserable in that industry, like I was about 10 years ago. Now, mental health and suicide, this is a topic that you can spend hours, days, weeks, months, even years talking about. There's so many different aspects to it, there's so many different factors. It's just a conversation that you could spend a lot of time on, but there is an aspect that I want to talk about which isn't as much talked about, or at least I haven't seen it being talked about as it probably should, and that's the impact of the creator economy on the professional class. Now, by that I don't mean being on social media, being on devices, being on all of these screens. Obviously these things are a contributing factor. There's obviously a whole range of topics and viewpoints about why that is causing a problem. I'm specifically talking about the business model of the creator economy on the professional class, because I was part of a generation that got told to be successful, to get the cars, the status, the respect, all of those things. To be successful, you had to go and get a degree, you had to become a professional, and that will put you on the path to success. But the impact that had wasn't great, because what happened was an entire generation went through this schooling system where they went to get a degree, they went to become a professional, not because they had any passion for those industries, but because that's what they thought they had to do. And what happened was you had lawyers like me who didn't want to become lawyers. You've got teachers who don't want to become teachers. You've got doctors who don't want to become doctors. And you've got engineers, pharmacists, and all of these other professions where people became those things, not because they had any desire or ambition or interest in doing those things, but because that's what they thought they had to do. So you've got people doing work and being professionals in industries where they have no passion and they have no interest. That in and of itself is going to create a whole heap of mental issues, because you're forcing yourself to do things on a daily basis that you just don't want to do. Now, why the creator economy has an impact on that is because these professionals are now seeing a different career or business model available, which wasn't available previously. And now there's this feeling of, why did I spend all of those years studying? Like, it takes decades to go through that professional kind of career path to get to a stage where even when you get to that stage, you're still not doing particularly well on a salary level. So for example, like, the path to becoming a lawyer, it wasn't just about going to university and getting a degree. That was just the first step of many after it. Once you got the degree, you had to get experience, you had to go to law school to get a further qualification, and then you had to get even more experience, and then you had to get a training contract, and then after that you finally became a lawyer. And that was just the start, because you weren't automatically on great salary figures once you got to that stage. You still had to progress further, get more experience, get more exposure, and then you'd slowly build up. But even if you look at the average kind of salaries in the UK, something like 35 grand. Now that's an issue, because what a lot of these professional people are now seeing is, despite spending all of that time, energy, effort building a career, there are now people who've got no qualifications, no experience, just creating content, and now making more in a month than a lot of these guys are making in a year. Now this isn't throwing shade at any of those kind of online entrepreneurs or creator economy. Like, I'm a big fan of the creator economy. I think it opens up so many opportunities for people, not just to build businesses, to make money, but to do things that they legitimately have an interest in and make money doing things that they are more passionate about. But a lot of people in the professional class are seeing this creator economy as almost a hit on them, in that they're questioning, why did they waste all of that time? And they're questioning, why am I spending 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day stuck in a job I absolutely hate, when there's people out there doing none of this stuff but making significantly more than me? So when you factor in those long hours, when you factor in the corporate hierarchy, the KPIs, and all of the pressure that comes with working in a corporate job these days, it becomes very difficult trying to deal with that in and of itself, but it becomes even more difficult when you start seeing and comparing yourself to other people. Now, there is a caveat in that a lot of the people online are just talking shite. They're not making anywhere near the amount of money that they're making. They sprinkle it with all of this glamour when it is very difficult as well. That is a path that is difficult. It has its own challenges. There are mental health issues in that industry as well. But when you're stuck in a corporate job that you absolutely hate and you see people out there making money, and there are legitimate people out there who are making decent amount of money online, doing things they enjoy, and it's just giving them more freedom and flexibility and more autonomy of their time. And that aspect is what a lot of people in the professional class aspire to. They just want more autonomy of their time. So what you have is a lot of people in the professional environment who've spent years, decades doing things and building up in a career that they don't particularly have any interest in. They're spending their days doing work they don't like, and they're seeing other people have all of this kind of freedom and autonomy and doing more enjoyable and more exciting things. And that's just contributing to their own misery and feeling trapped and feeling stuck. Now, historically, when you didn't like to do something, it was a case of, well, what else can I do? There's nothing else I can do, so I'm just going to suck it up and deal with it. The difference today is when you say, what else can I do? Because of the creative economy, because of social media, there's 101 things that you can do. So it becomes even more miserable and even more stressing to be stuck in a job you hate, because now you know there are other opportunities, there are other options. You just can't seem to get yourself out of the environment you're in into that other area, and that just makes you even more stressed and depressed and miserable, which has an impact on your morale and mindset and mental health. Having said that, things are changing. Obviously, we now have the 4-hour work week. We have work from home, kind of work in the office, hybrid kind of thing. So, it is changing, but a lot of people are still stuck in that environment, and they are silently struggling and not raising the concerns that they have because they feel trapped, they feel lost, and they feel like there's nothing else they can do. And unfortunately, in the most extreme cases, it's leading to people committing suicide. Now, I'm not qualified to offer any advice on mental health. Obviously, if you're somebody going through something like that, you need to speak to the relevant people. But I can offer some advice and perspective to those who are not quite at that stage but are miserable and stuck in a job they hate and a career that they don't like. Like, there is no easy way out. If you're looking for a magic pill, if you're looking for somebody to come and change your circumstance in an instant, if you think you can just do one or two things to change your situation, it's not going to happen. You are going to have to make difficult choices. You are going to have to take tough decisions. You are going to have to go through this period, which is going to be even more painful than the misery that you're currently feeling, because when you want to make a change in career that you've spent decades on, it's not going to happen overnight. And also, you're going to have to do things which feel like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps backwards. So you're going to feel like you're going backwards 10 steps, and that is going to have an impact on your self-esteem, on your mindset, because you're going to feel like you're regressing rather than progressing. But you have to go through this period where there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, there's going to be a lot of stress, there's going to be a lot of going back, relearning skills, but more importantly, there's going to be this period of undoing the conditioning, the learning and the programming that you've had from the schooling and professional system, which is very difficult in and of itself, because to progress forward in different ways, especially in this social media age and especially in this creator economy age, you are going to have to unlearn a lot of the patterns and a lot of the things you've learned in that previous system. And that's very difficult to do the older you are and the more experience and the more kind of time you've spent in that system. And it can feel like you're changing your personality, it can feel like you're changing your identity, and that will result in this period where you're starting to question everything, and you're starting to question whether you know yourself, who you are or what you want. And that is a painful period that will happen if you want to make those kind of changes, but it's the only way that's going to help you to then figure out what it is that you actually want to do, where you want to move forward, and where you want to progress. The alternative is to remain miserable and stuck in a job you hate, or it is to go through this uncomfortable period to try and find a better way forward. Both choices are going to be difficult. You might as well take the one where the future can look more brighter than it does currently right now. Like, honestly, if you've got any questions, if you've got any queries, if there's any way that I can help in this situation, if you are somebody that's stuck in a career that you absolutely hate and you don't know how to get out, ask me some questions. I've got a lot of experience in this. I've changed careers so many times. Like, it wasn't an easy decision to become a qualified lawyer, to have your own law firm, to give it all up, but it is a decision that I took. And I'm not going to say it was great after that, because the period after that was probably one of the worst periods that I went through. But I can now say that, there's so many more options, there's so many things you can do, and you don't need to be stuck in something you hate. You can find things where at least you've got some kind of interest and passion in, so that when you do come across the difficult moments, you're not feeling trapped and stuck and completely depressed. You can move forward because at least there's some aspect that you enjoy. Because that is an issue a lot of people face when they're stuck in a job or career they hate. They assume that there's nothing else that they can do. But when you go through this uncertain period and try different things, what you'll come to realize is it's not that there's nothing else for you to do, it's that there are just so many other things to choose from. You just don't know which path to choose. So if you need some help or advice on that, let me know. I will do my best to answer.